I want to take a minute to talk about how much time it takes to prepare for an open house. So you guys, I was doing this stuff last night. I've been thinking about it for a couple days. You've got that open house playbook that really talks about like preparing for pretty much the week before your open house on Saturday, doing all the research and all that good stuff. But right now we're gonna go through kind of like last night. I went to the store, I got some stuff to put out on my little trays. I got napkins, I got my trays. Aaron likes to use that tiered one, so that may be what's in your open house kit. My open house kit is a mess. I've been using the same bin for years, so I'm ready to get a new one, but you kind of want to have all your stuff handy, your shoe covers, your paper towels, your wipes, hand sanitizer, all that good stuff. So I always keep a little bowl in case I don't do a big one with cookies and stuff. At least I can grab some candy at the grocery store. So next we're gonna go get balloons and then we'll show you how to set up the signs. I'm running into Safeway really quick. I realized I forgot the sodas that I bought in my garage. So of course I have to go and get that too, which is always the thing. Like if you don't give yourself enough time and then you make a mistake, you're gonna be late. And you need to be about 30 minutes early. That means everything's done, finished, lights are on, everything's perfect and beautiful. So my open house is at 1. It's getting close to noon, so now I'm starting to panic. Hopefully they have helium. Every once in a while I go in to get balloons at a grocery store and they're out, which is so stressful because then you have to run to the next store, which might be 15 minutes down the road, probably farther away from where you're going. So just keep in mind that you need to give yourself all the time for a mistake to happen along the way. All right, I'm gonna grab balloons. Out front is so important. Your signage has to be right so people know that you're here. I can't tell you how many times I have had an open house where people knock on the door and they're like, is anyone here? I'm like, holy crap, obviously I didn't put enough signs out front to show them. So adding another sign out front, putting the balloons up is a huge deal. So make sure you have enough balloons to at least put 1, 2, 3, as many as you can afford to do out front is a good idea.
So out front, one of the most important things to do when you show up is to get all your things into the house and get set up first. And the reason is because if we take these guys and put them out everywhere, people will start arriving sometimes. And then you're not set up, and then you're gonna be scrambling. And sometimes you never get to where you can actually put the food and everything out because you just have people walking through that you're helping. So these signs right here, too, always inside out. You notice they're inside out. When you store them the other way, that's when they end up getting scratched all like crazy. So the other thing too is if we walk up to the sign, you'll see there's no flyers right now. And the reason is because if you have flyers, a lot of people will just drive up, pull a flyer and leave, even during an open house when you have balloons and everything flying. So we want to kind of make sure people get in the house and come see us. So we're going to jump in the car. What you want to do is you want to plot out where you're going to put your signs first. And you want to put out as many as possible. Sometimes even big ones in front of the house, all of that's good. You want to attract attention, you want to use balloons. All of those things just bring more people into the house, and why be here if you're not going to get people into the house? It's pointless. So we're going to go do that right now. So anytime you can get to where there's a major intersection, that's awesome. That's what we got right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put signs because people are going to be coming from 4 different directions. So what you want to do is you want at least signs on both sides of the highway. So you're going to want to tie your balloons. You're going to put your signs out here, tie your balloons on. Don't go place them, have to carry balloons back and then be out in the dangerous road situation. So you kind of want to prep it, get them flipped over, run them over, place them, come back real quick. So you see how that sign right there where that silver car is? That's purposely on this side because we got a lot of people traveling from this direction and we got an intersection that's not quite square. Again, we don't want to make it complicated, but we do want to make sure from kind of all 4 sides people can see in advance, because if they pass the sign, a lot of times they won't turn around and then make it out. So a little bit of a complicated intersection. This isn't normal, but oh well. So yeah, when placing signs, you always want to make sure you get access to some major roads. So get major roads, do signs on both sides, and then just work your way back to your open house, placing the signs out at every turn. It's got to be at every turn, because if you lose those people, you miss one turn, they're not going to be able to find it. So here we got the entrance to the street that the house is on. So we've got a couple signs here. We've got signs out at the highway. Anytime there's a really long stretch of road, sometimes you want to put one sign in between just to keep people going. And then we're going to put some stuff in front of the house and we'll be good.
So I pulled these out of the flyer box out front before we started setting up. So we want to set the flyers on the counter. That way nobody can just grab a flyer and take off with the information. So they'll have to come in to get more info. So talk about your cake tier.
People really overcomplicate what you need at an open house. And the reality is usually people come in and out. We've had big spreads, we've had small spreads. It just needs to look professional. The whole point of open houses is to connect with people. So if you can have a bunch of tools, but it's an opportunity for people to grab things. But you don't need all that to host a nice professional open house, because you just want to be really inviting and welcoming to the people. Think less about what's on the table, but definitely have some things on the table for them to enjoy.
Yeah, so I popped in and grabbed, soda water, whatever you like. I just always have two choices. That's just me.
We went and had open houses catered. We've had all kinds of things. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes you just waste a lot of food. So keep it simple always. So one of the biggest mistakes that newer agents make when they hold an open house is sometimes they get prepared and they show up, but they don't always know a lot about the actual property. So one of the first things you want to do is know as much as you can about the property, try to figure out kind of where the property lines are. And these are the questions that people will ask you. They'll ask you things about when the seller is going to maybe move. And so a lot of times you're going to want to talk to the listing agent on the property and learn as much, have a 5-10 minute conversation, as much information as you can get as possible. Because some of this real surface level stuff, like when are they going to move out, if you don't know the answers to some of these things, then you're not as helpful as you could be. So, and also always run a playbook. Okay, so we haven't really talked about the playbook much in this video, but the open house starts well in advance. So reach out to us, get the playbook. The playbook is going to tell you what you're going to want to do days before the open house so that you can get people to the open house, and how you can prepare to be the best agent possible during the open house. Keep in mind too, the people that are coming to look at the open home, they're going to usually fall into a couple different camps. They're either a neighbor, that's why you want the place to look professional, because they're judging you on what the open house looks like. They could be a shopper, they could be somebody who's actually looking, and this is just one of the houses that they're curious about. So you want to be prepared, but you also want to know that if this is a home, we happen to be in a beautiful house today, so this is a waterfront home. So the first thing I would want to know is, what are the other waterfront homes right now that are on the multiple listing service, in case this one does not meet their needs for something specific. Again, people generally shop in categories. So they shop, maybe they want a big backyard, maybe they need a big master. So figure out what this house has that's great, and also what it lacks. Because sometimes what it lacks is what other people, when they view it, are gonna say, you know what, this isn't the perfect fit, I wish it had a bigger yard. And you will already know what the other home is that's on the water that has the big backyard. So you want to be prepped in that way, because typically the open house doesn't sell the house. A lot of the times when it does, it's an agent coming by with their client that probably would have looked at it at a different time. But you want to be as prepared as possible, because people do come by, people do buy the home on the spot, and you want to be the one that helps them. You do not need to show them the property. That's also a common mistake that agents make, and think that they're there because they've watched HTV, and in HGTV or walking into the room and telling people, oh, here's the kitchen and all those things. So let people look, give them space is my recommendation. Let them know you're here to help them with any questions they have, but give them a little time to browse. That's always been the best strategy, I feel like, with some of the most successful agents. So give them some space, let them look around, circle back to them, let them know you're around. Also, don't ignore them. I've been to plenty of open houses, and I've seen this happen where the agent will bring their laptop and they'll be sitting down and they'll be working. And they're kind of like, hey, let me know if you need anything, but it almost feels insincere, like they almost don't help enough. So you want to strike that balance of being there, being friendly, but also maybe they're not a extremely extroverted person. They might be introverted. So give them the space, see what happens. Don't worry about scripts and dialogues. Definitely know what to do when it comes to having those conversations and be prepped, but don't force scripts on people. Just try to connect and be there to help. So if you're holding an open house and it's in an area you're totally unfamiliar with, one of the ways to hack it, just to learn, is I would go out the day before, pull up Google Maps, figure out where all the schools and parks are that are in the direct vicinity. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a neighbor come by and you're gonna start having a conversation. And when you're the one who doesn't know what the name of the park is that's right at the end of the street, makes you look like an idiot, like you're not the professional that is holding his house open in the best way possible. So do that, pull up Google, get an idea of what's around here. So this particular house, again, we're super fortunate to be at a waterfront home today, but what's around that bend? What's on the other side? What's the name of that point right there? These are all things that you're gonna wanna do. And again, don't make it complicated. This stuff doesn't take hours and hours and hours to research and learn. Simple map, look around, be prepared as much as possible. People wanna work with the knowledge broker. People wanna work with the people who know what they're talking about and what's around. And if you were that person, it's just more than likely that you're gonna gain their respect and possibly a business relationship with that person.